Hello, what it do? What it do? I haven't been on here and done this in forever, have I? Not really a big fan of the lighting. Can y'all see me clear? I'm probably gonna turn this off. Hang on. All right. Now, still a little bit grainy, but anyway. Man, it's been forever since I've been on here and done this, ain't it? Been forever. I figure I'll get on here and blab for a couple minutes, see if I can get a couple of you up in here super early. Here in Vegas, it is 4:30 in the morning, so I don't know where most of y'all watch me from, but I figured we could get on here and find something to blab about. One of the main reasons why I took a break from doing this on the weekends is because I was running out of things to talk about. You know, started running out of stuff to talk about. And hang on, I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm not a real big fan of, like repeating myself, which I do a lot. I do a lot of that, especially in my readings and sometimes when I go off on a little lecture and whatnot. Sometimes I can tend to, start talking in circles and repeating myself. And I was feeling like, man, every damn time I go on there and chit chat, it seems like I end up talking about the same thing, So I kind of took a little break, but this was one of them early mornings. Ended up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, man, you know what? Let's get on here and blab. It's been a month or two. Anyway, what y'all up to? What y'all up to? Hang on. Let me see when the last time I was on here. In May. And it's been about a month and a half. Been about a month and a half since I've been on here. Anyway, what y'all up to? Yeah, I couldn't sleep either. Is it? I don't know. I've been noticing. Has anybody else been noticing anything like abnormal in the air here for the past few days? Because we went through that Mercury retrograde, and then I never looked into it. I kept saying I was going to, but I heard a little bit about a Saturn retrograde. I don't know much about that. I'm not the biggest astrologer in the world. So I don't know. But the Mercury retrograde was kind of in the middle. I don't think it was the worst, but it wasn't the easiest one either. It was in the middle, just annoying as usual. But made it through that. And it kind of seems like ever since the retrograde's been over, there's been these little on and off periods where there's something really heavy happening energetically, like really heavy. And when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm typically a little bit critical when it comes to energies. I don't just like to blame any rough day on some celestial event or something like that. Like I'm really, really picky and choosy about what I say when it comes to, energy. And for the past couple of days, I've been noticing something a little off. And yesterday was a little off. And I had a very difficult time getting to sleep last night. And I had a very difficult time staying asleep, obviously. So, everybody else experiencing that too? Well, so it's not just me, huh? Okay, cool. Right on. Cool. Well, so it's not just me. Sometimes I just kind of feel like it might be just me, I kind of feel like that sometimes. I know that on my, I guess you could say my path or on my journey, I've become very sensitive to energies and whatnot. Of course, I was probably sensitive to it my whole life. And that's probably why I just stayed drunk and high all the time. That's probably why I was so addicted to drugs and alcohol, because it numbed it out. I couldn't tell, couldn't feel it. I was always like that. I was a real sensitive kid. I was a real sensitive kid, especially as a teenager. I was real sensitive, man. Really, really super sensitive. Always been that way my whole life. And I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't handle it. And I can remember when I was a teenager and I very first started like getting high and stuff, playing around with drugs. I couldn't quite tell like exactly what was going on with me, but I did know that I didn't want to feel the feelings I was feeling. I couldn't function. I couldn't function. Like I was just too sensitive. It's too sensitive. I don't know. I can't how to explain it. I was too sensitive, and I didn't want to. I don't know. I guess that's just what happens when you have a star seed who's never been to planet Earth before and isn't used to dealing with the heavy, heavy, slow, dense energies of 3D planet Earth. So the only way I could figure out to feel somewhat, and I remember too, I can remember when I was a teenager, I very specifically remember saying to myself, why is this body it's so uncomfortable? You know, why does something always feel uncomfortable? I felt like something always hurts. Like it hurts being in this body. I can remember saying that to myself, when I very first started getting high. I was like, whoa, this is the first time being in this body isn't uncomfortable, because it like made me go numb. Like I would take pills that would make me not be able to really feel my body. And I can remember saying that, like, this is the first time I've ever experienced being in this body and it's not uncomfortable. Something doesn't hurt. I didn't understand back then. I didn't really understand, what it was all about being a human. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's why the majority of us, you know, turn to like drugs and alcohol and whatnot. This is one of my new favorites, kava. Kava. I love this stuff, boy. Love this stuff. I just like it all by itself. Some people like to mix it. I like it all by itself. Anyway, though, yeah, that I think that's why just about all of us turn to those kind of things. I think that's about the same thing. And I mean, it's not uncommon at all to hear star seeds dealing with addiction problems. That's very, very, very common. Now, not everyone, obviously, but if I had to like throw a guess out there and like throw a statistic out there, I would feel very safe saying that probably 60 to 75% of the star seeds have battle addiction in their life. Hmm. Could you imagine? I mean, like coming here and being in human form for the first time, you know? Because the 3D game, I mean, it took a long time. You got to think, how long did it take to get down to the third dimension, to get the civilized, that system that they had built in the third dimension? That took a long time. The long-term humans that developed that system and kept coming back and building that and pulling the frequencies down lower and lower. It took them a while. It took them a while to get the energies down that low. And man, I couldn't have the first wave of star seeds, dude. I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't even imagine that around World War II. Could you imagine that? Fucking hey. Most of us, I think at least those like in my age group or my generation, we're like third wavers, ain't we? If there was the three waves, which, if we were going to separate it into the three waves that they normally talk about, I would probably definitely put myself in that third wave. And we got it easy. The third wavers, we got it easy. Well, the Prism children definitely have it easy, but as far as like the star seeds that came to actually help with the shift, man, the third waivers got it easy, dude. It's the first waivers that came here and really paved the way. So anyway, yeah. Well, that's another thing too about. Well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not you're a star seed, but if you're a star seed, one of your assignments is to be around as many people as possible, you know? That's one of your assignments. And that's the funny thing too, because most of us can't stand being around people. Can't stand it. I know I'm not a real big. I mean, I can go out and mingle in the crowds, you know, but it's draining, dude. It's draining. It's just draining being around all that energy, especially here living in Vegas. Super, super crowded. I mean, I'm getting more adjusted to it. I'm getting more adjusted to it and a little bit better at it, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I don't need to go out and make a bunch of friends and all that, you know. I used to be much more social back when I was in my party days, you know, back when I did get out and like to party and stuff like that. And I was like drunk and high all the time. It didn't really bother me so bad back then, but you know, now I'm very cool, just kind of, but that's the thing, man. That's our job. We got to go out and carry that frequency around everywhere we can. So anyway, and yeah, being around negative people really does suck the life out of you. It really does. I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a point in life where it's like, if you want to be negative, I mean, that's your right. You go be negative. I'm not going to be around it, you know? I really don't feel like it's my job to try to fix a negative person, you know? Not me. If you want to be negative, you go have fun with that. You go live in your own little misery negative bubble. I'm not going to be around you, you know? Yeah, observing people is kind of interesting. It's kind of fun, especially here in a place like Vegas. But you know what's crazy though? Like here, and me and Leah talk about this all the time. It's like you look out and you see what look like so many bots and backdrop people, you know? Like we just stare out into a crowd and be like, look at all the bots. And it does look like that too. Like it just looks like a bunch of robots walking around, you know? And you can kind of tell because I don't know. I've said this before, but I don't know what it is. You have to be cut from a very specific cloth for me to connect with you, you know? Like just in everyday day-to-day conversation, going to the store and talking to the cashier and stuff like that. Most of the time I feel no connection hardly with anybody. You can kind of tell, you can feel when somebody's just making noise at you, you know? And I don't know, every now and then though, you can feel it. And there's nothing that a person has to specifically do, but you can feel when there's like a genuine soul making a genuine connection, you know, and they're not just making noise at you to hear themselves talk. Sounds horrible, but I'm so sensitive to that, you know, like the cashier at the gas station. You can tell they're just making noise at you because that's their job. They don't care how you're doing today, you know. You don't give a damn how I'm doing. Whatever. Do people come up to me and just talk? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, yeah. Is that what you're asking? Do I find people just come up to and talk? Yeah, sometimes. Now, I'm not the most chatty person in the world. I'm really not. I'm really not. I'm usually just a short, sweet, and simple. Yep. How you doing? I'm not real big on starting conversations with strangers. Not really. Not really. Just a random person, you know, who walks up to you for no reason and just starts up random small talk. I hate that. I hate that. I can't stand that. I still haven't figured out. It's something that's been the biggest thing that I've been working on for the past couple of years, you know. And I still haven't quite figured out how to do that and actually enjoy myself, you know. Like you see, and I'm kind of envious of people who can do that. You see people, if you sit back and watch, like you can just see random strangers walk up and start making noise at each other, having the time of their life. And I just can't do that. If you're just some random stranger, I have no idea who you are. You have no idea who I am. And you just like walk up and start talking to me. I'm like, I don't know. It makes me feel really, really awkward. I come across, I'm probably really, really awkward, because I don't know what to say. Like, why are you talking to me? I'm still working on that. I've been working on that for about 2 years now. And I don't really think I've made very much headway with it. I really don't think that I have. I mean, you know what it feels like to me? It feels to me like when people do that, it feels like they're just saying, "Look, everybody, look how friendly I am. Look at me. I'm Mr. Friendly over here. Look at me. I want you to think I'm so friendly." It's just because, do you really care how I'm doing today? No. You don't give a damn. You just want everybody to think you're friendly. It's all an image thing, is what I'm convinced of. I could be totally wrong, but that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel when some random person who has no idea who I am just walks up and starts small talk. I don't know. I don't know. I'm horrible with it. And even when I do, like sometimes I'll be put in that situation and I'll feel like, okay, well, maybe this is the universe wanting me to work on my social skills. And if I try, like I usually end up coming off like really awkward, you know, like really extra super awkward. I don't have social anxiety. There's people out there that have social anxiety and they get real nervous. I don't have that. It doesn't give me anxiety. It doesn't, I don't get anxious. I don't get paranoid. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't really know the words to put behind it. I don't know. It's not anxiety. It's just I get annoyed, I guess. You know, it's just kind of annoying. Yeah. Well, the more the I'm starting to think more and more and more and more that most of my audience is probably star seeds. Most of you who watch me probably are. I don't know. I could be wrong on that because I know with the personal readings that I do, I get lots and lots and lots of karmic humans, that come to me for readings. I don't know. I do kind of feel like, though, I think a lot of the people that watch me are star seeds, meaning you have had very few lifetimes on this planet. Very few. Very, very few, Hang on, I'm going to turn my fan on. It's getting kind of hot. Hold up. Oh, there we go. But anywho, yeah, I could be totally wrong on that. I could be. It just kind of feels like that too, Because there's a lot of people who relate to a lot of the things that me and other star seeds that I've met, a lot of concepts that most long-term humans are kind of closed off to, because or maybe there are a lot more long-term humans who are coming out of the game than I realized. A lot more long-term humans that are waking up. Because I'm pretty sure that this far in the game, if you're a long-term human and you're wanting to stay in the third dimension, I wouldn't think you would be watching me. I wouldn't think you even know who I am. I wouldn't think that you would ever even stumble upon any of my video content, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong on that, but I just wouldn't think, because most 3D humans like attack people like me, They like anybody that is delivering any kind of message that's anything like some of the things that I talk about. Long-term humans will attack you, like straight up attack you, because we're exposing the game. We're exposing the game for the illusion that it is. And those long-term 3D humans, spent a long time building that game, and they don't really want it to be destroyed. They love playing it. They've been coming here and playing it for a very long time. And yeah, they don't really like the game that they spent so much time building, being exposed for the illusion that it is. But I don't know. Maybe just a lot more of us are shifting. Have you all been noticing people awakening? Have you been noticing that? The last I checked, lots of people were awakening. I kind of took my focus away from it and kind of stopped paying attention to it, because the last I checked, I don't know, throughout the whole process of the past couple of years, I've been noticing people awakening. I have. Does that mean that everybody on the planet is awake? No, not necessarily. Yes, there are still lots of people asleep, but you can't deny the fact that the Great Awakening has been spreading like a wildfire. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. If you take the number of awake people on the planet now compared to the number of awake people the first day of 2020, the last day of 2019 into the first day of 2020, there's a lot more people awake now than there were, and it kind of bugs me a little bit whenever people act like nobody has awakened. It's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, they have. Yes, they have. It's spreading like a wildfire. It may not be a very fast spreading wildfire. It may not be as fast as we want it, but people still are awakening. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Gets on my nerves hearing people complain about that. Nobody's waking up. Everybody's so asleep. Well, why don't you do something about it then? Do something about it. Do something about it. I don't know. I feel like it's happening perfectly. But like I said, I took my focus away from it. I haven't really been paying too much attention. It's to the point now where I'm just like it. For a while there, I worried about it because I didn't know. Like, I honestly didn't know that the planet was that asleep. I didn't know that. I mean, I was wrong about it to begin with. Very first stepping off onto my path of awakening and evolution, I really did kind of get in my own little bubble world of thinking that everybody wants to learn the true nature of reality. How could you not? Like, because everybody wants to see their life improve, right? Everybody wants to see their life improve. I mean, that right there. How could you spend your life sitting around complaining and not want to do anything about it? I thought that if you were going to spend your life and spend your energy sitting around complaining, that eventually you would get up and do something about it. That's what I thought, because that's what I did. That's what I did. It's the very first time I stumbled upon the law of attraction, manifestation, and I heard that there is a possibility that there's something that I can do about this. I was all over it. I was like, "Oh wow, are you kidding me? You mean it's possible for me to take this mess of a life that I have and turn it into something different? That's possible? Who wouldn't jump all over that?" That's what I thought. Boy, I was wrong. Boy, I was wrong. Turns out there are lots and lots and lots and lots of people who absolutely love to do nothing but sit around and bitch and complain. I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of the fact that there are lots of people out there who are actually addicted to sitting around and bitching and complaining and bitching and complaining. And they love it. They love it. I didn't know that. That's what the past 2 years has taught me. That's what it's taught me, is that there are people out there who enjoy living in fear. They do. Like, they literally do. I didn't know. I mean, like, I've met people, and I'm sure you all have too, who not only do they live in fear, You know, their whole life, every facet of their life is built around fear, but they will fight to defend fear. And if you don't live in fear, they will attack you. They will attack you and try to convince you that you are a bad person because you don't live in fear. Oh, yeah. Blew my fucking mind. I was like, whoa, are you kidding me? Holy shit. So it's been a big eye opener for me too over the past couple of years. It awakened me in a way that I hadn't been awakened before. I didn't know that. I just didn't know the planet was that asleep and that entrenched in low frequencies and fear and anger. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's to the point now though, 2.5 years into the Great Awakening, that I'm like, I don't even really care anymore. I did for a while. It freaked me out. It scared the hell out of me at first. It scared me. To find out that the planet was that asleep, it scared the shit out of me. I'll be the first person to admit it. And then it just kind of started annoying me. You know, it's like, oh, well, not only is the planet asleep, but you're going to fight to stay asleep? Then it started pissing me off. Now I'm like, whatever. Okay, cool. You want to be asleep? Okay, you go have fun with that. You know, you want to play this game? Okay, you have fun with that. I don't care anymore. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know. How y'all feel about that though? Yeah, well, here's the cool part too. When you, like, the people around you, if you're surrounded by a bunch of negative people, you can do one or two things. You can either cut them out of your life, you know, which there's nothing wrong with that, or you can just focus on your own vibration. And if you're surrounded by a bunch of negative people and you start training yourself, and I do mean training yourself to raise your vibration and be more positive, you won't have to cut them out of your life. They will find their way out of your life. And like, it's fascinating to sit back and watch it happen. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. You know, you don't have to do it. It will be done for you. Try it. I'm telling you. If you have somebody who's negative, when I say train yourself, this takes time. You know, you can't just wake up in the morning and flip a switch and turn into a positive person. I'm talking about training your thought pattern. Okay. And training your thought pattern can take months. You know, you can take months and months and months. We've talked about this before. It's just like forming any habit, you know, any habit. And it takes time to write those connections into your brain to where your subconscious mind is being positive without you having to put any conscious thought into it. It can take weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months of you forcing your brain to think positive thoughts until that's just the default setting. And the more you do this work, watch, I promise you, the negative people in your life will start separating further and further and further out of your life. They will. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to sit back and watch it. Not only that, but I mean, if you're hardcore enough about it, then everything in your life will totally change. Everything. Everything. Within a matter of a year, 2 years, I guarantee your job will change. Your location more than likely will probably change, especially like if you live in a place where you live around a bunch of negative people and like the whole vibration, you know, of like the neighborhood you live in is really, really negative, and you start training yourself to raise your frequency and get up out of that frequency, the universe will take you out of that entire location and put you somewhere else. It's amazing, dude. Yeah, I swear to God, man, it's fun to sit back and watch. It's fun. That's been like the whole last 5-6 years of my life has been watching that process unfold itself, you know. Made for one hell of a journey too, man. One hell of a journey. Yeah, that's good, man. And I see that a lot too. I see a lot of people who are, changing their frequency and raising vibration. Because I mean, at the end of the day, with what's been going on, the frequencies of the planet have been raising, So with the frequencies of the planet raising, you have to raise with it. Like the people who are choosing to stay at a low frequency, they are now having to fight to stay in a low frequency. That's the thing. That's what I was talking about a minute ago. It's to the point because the planet's raising its frequency. If you're wanting to stay in a low frequency, that's fine if that's the game you want to play. But you're having to fight and work twice as hard now to stay in that low frequency because the planet's raising frequencies. The planet's raising frequencies, and it just, I don't know. I guess it would just be too traumatic to some people, to some humans, to relinquish and let go of, I guess, their beliefs and their worldview. It would be too traumatic. I don't know. I think it's fun, personally. Like I've said, some of you who have been following me for a while have heard me say that my head was very not in the right place before my spiritual awakening. Like, it seems like most people, most people say that during a spiritual awakening, they go crazy. I was the opposite. I was crazy. I had so many loose screws, and my head was like so not in the right place. And then when I began awakening, that's when I was like, oh, that makes sense. And that's when my head started to level out. I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And I don't know. That's just me. That it feels like my head has become more and more level the further down the path I've gone. Or some people go crazier and crazier the more they awaken spiritually. I don't know. Could have something to do with being a star seed too, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But anywho, what y'all up to? I'll probably be on here for maybe another 30 minutes. Let me look at my work schedule here. Hang on. Oh. Okay. Not too bad. Oh, not too bad. Not bad at all. That's good. Coming off antidepressants. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I can remember those good old days being on antidepressants. I can remember that. But then I figured out that we have the ability to write our own brain chemistry. And when I figured that out, it was over. It was over. All you have to do is have the patience and consistency to form or break a habit. See, they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know how much power you have over your own brain, dude. They don't want you to know that. And I feel like that is if I were to try to describe my job title as a star seed, that would be a big part of it. That would be a big part of it. My job title as like what I'm doing here as a star seed, not as a spiritual influencer on the internet, but as a star seed, would be helping you understand how much power you really have over this thing. Do you understand? Do you even grasp the magnitude of the third dimension? Not only was it built on fear, but another one of the very strong key components that held the third dimension together was people feeling like a victim to their own brain. People feel like a victim to what goes on inside of them. Like, so let me get this straight. You consciously move your arms. You consciously blink your eyes. You consciously make the decision to stand up and walk and move your legs. You consciously make the decision to jump down, turn around, and but your thoughts and your emotions are happening to you. You don't have any control over that? Come on now. You have control of every single thing. Well, okay, you have power. Let's put it to you that way. You have the power to control everything that happens in here. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. It is possible for you to gain control of everything that goes on in here. And that's what they don't want you to know. That's what keeps the entire medical system, the pharmaceutical industry up and running, the psychological community, the psychiatric community, all those big money making all that whole system runs, and it's dependent on you feeling like the things that happen inside of you are happening to you, and it's out of your control. And you're a victim of what goes on in your own brain. You're a victim of your own emotional state. I would say that I can't say that's my only job title, but that has a lot to do with my job title here as a Starseed, is awakening you to the fact that you actually have the ability, if you choose to take conscious control over what happens in here. You have the ability to write your own neural circuitry. If you have the patience and the consistency and the dedication to form or break any habit, you can control what goes on in here. Remember, it's been a while since I've talked about this, but there was this really fascinating experiment that they did. And this is what got me to buy into it. I'm going to tell you what I'm about to tell you right now. When I heard this, I bought into it. They took two groups of people, Group A and Group B. They gave everybody in both groups a brain scan just to see where they were neurologically. Group A had to sit down at a piano and practice Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the piano, over and over and over and over for 8 weeks. After the 8 weeks was up, they gave Group A another brain scan, and they could see the new connections that wired themselves into their brains from sitting and repeatedly practicing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star all day, every day for 8 weeks. Group B never touched a piano. They had Group B run through a series of mental exercises and think about practicing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star over and over and over, same schedule, same everything for 8 weeks, but they never saw or touched a piano. Guess what? The 8 weeks was up. They scanned their brains. The exact same new connections formed in the brains of the people who used thought alone as the people who physically sat down and touched a piano. When I heard that, I was sold. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, if I have the dedication, the consistency, and the patience to force myself to think certain thoughts that will actually change my brain chemistry, oh, it's over. It's over. It's over. Oh, it's over. Watch me transform. Watch me. Watch me. Don't listen to me. I don't care if you believe me. Just sit back and watch. Watch me transform my life. Watch me evolve. If that's all it takes, that's all you have to do. Watch me. I was fucking sold when I heard that. And you do. You do. That's what affirmations do. That's what affirmations do. And y'all have heard me say this. I know I posted this on Facebook the other day. I think I mentioned it in a reading too. Um, have you ever heard somebody say, well, I tried affirmations and that didn't work? That's just like a fat person saying, I did some sit-ups yesterday and I'm still fat. You know, same thing. No, you don't just do a couple of sit-ups and lose 100 pounds. That's not the way it works. Same thing with affirmations. You don't just say a couple of affirmations one day and then $1 million comes and knocks on your door. It's not the way that it works. You know, you have to say it and think it all day, every day, until it burns itself into your subconscious mind. And then once because I remember when it first happened. It's when I very first moved up to Maine. Okay. And that right there, I think, as of right now, looking back on my journey, that was like my favorite chapter of my whole journey so far. My favorite chapter, because I discovered the law of attraction when I was in the homeless shelter at the very beginning of 2016. Spent all of 2016 just playing around with it, just manifesting little things here, little things there, and a couple of big things, kind of big things that were kind of botched and sloppy, but enough to get me to buy into it. That was 2016. 2017 was the year that I said, all right, I'm going to manifest something big. And that was right when I moved up there to Maine. And that's when I started telling myself I am successful, you know? And that may sound like silly and kind of cliche and whatnot, but you got to understand, up until that point, I had told myself I'm a worthless piece of shit. And I believed it. Like it was common knowledge. I believed it. I'm a worthless piece of shit. I would probably tell myself that 500, 1,000 times a day. And I believed it. And I would look around in my life, and my life was filled with evidence that supported that belief. And then when I figured out how that worked, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start telling myself I am successful. And it didn't feel right, man. It didn't feel right. It felt really weird because I would look around. I was working at this old rinky-dink rundown car wash, making minimum wage. I looked down, my clothes were all dirty. I didn't even have a washing machine. Okay. I had to wash my clothes in the bathtub with shampoo. Okay. My outfit might cost $20 from the Goodwill, you know? And up there in Maine, they had this little thrift store called Touch of Class. And it was a thrift store that only sold like brand name, you know, Aeropostale and Hurley and Under Armour, you know, and they didn't sell anything but like top brands, you know. So I would go to this little Touch of Class and I would buy all these like shirts and stuff, like $5 for an Aeropostale shirt or something like that, you know, just to try to make it look like I was somewhat successful, and I really wasn't, you know. And so like I'd be at work though, I'd look down, I'd have dirty clothes on. I'd wearing name brand clothes that were all dirty because I couldn't even wash them. I had to wash them in the bathtub with shampoo. And just like all these things, you know. So to actually tell myself I am successful made me feel real uncomfortable. It didn't feel right. Didn't feel right at all. Like at all. But I just kept telling myself that all day. And what the point that I'm making though is that I'll never forget the day. I'll never forget the day that I realized it had finally burned itself into my subconscious mind. And this was about 8 or 9 months of repeating this phrase to myself all day, every day. I am successful. I am successful. I am successful. I am all day, every day. And then I was washing a car one day. And I like stopped in the middle of what I was doing and I went, whoa. That thought, I am successful, has been running underneath of my conscious awareness all day. And I haven't even thought about it. And then I stepped back and I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. That thought's been running under my conscious awareness all week. I haven't put any conscious thought behind thinking I am successful for a week to 2 weeks. And then I stopped and thought about it and I was like, holy shit. I actually am starting to believe this. Like for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I could reach out and touch success, you know? And I'll just never forget how that felt. I'll never forget that feeling, you know? And it took time. It took time. You know what the last one I've been working on though is? And this is going to sound kind of cheesy and silly, but I've been working on finding the happy switch. Finding the happy switch. Now, I'm not saying that you have to figure out how to be happy all the time, because this still is a dualistic dimension and we're just not going to do that, you know? But finding out how to gain control of happiness, you know? I would wake up in the morning in these bad moods all the time. Like I would just wake up in a bad mood first thing in the morning, you know? And I just got tired of it. It would ruin my whole day. I would just be in a blah mood all day. So I started, I am happy. I am excited. I am motivated. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm motivated. When you're in a bad mood, that's really hard to do. That's really, really, really hard to do. That took me a little bit longer than 8 months, 9 months. That took me about a year and a half. I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm motivated. I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm motivated. To where, like, I haven't woke up in a bad mood in 2 years, something like that. Been a while. It's been a while. It took about a year and a half to, when I find myself in a bad mood, to be able to go inside and find that happy switch and flip it on. That one's a little bit trickier, though. A little bit trickier. I think there might be a little bit more to it than that, too. So, anyway, it's fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. LL Bean at the Goodwills in Maine. Yeah. Look, man, those are the good old days, man. Old Maine. Those are the good old days. I've been looking back on that. You know, I've been going back and watching a lot of my old tarot readings from when I lived up there in Maine, you know, and it's just so funny to watch how it unfolded. And I watched that one video of, and I've forgotten about most of those old videos. I watched that one where I had 20,000 subscribers and I was talking about how, like, and that I might post that on my community tab. That in the video, I was talking about how I'm trying to keep a level head because I didn't mean for my YouTube channel to blow up that fast. You know, I really didn't. And I really didn't. It literally scared me. It scared me. The picture that I had painted in my mind, because my last business just crashed and burned. I had nothing to do on my days off. I was running out of things to talk about on my YouTube channel. So the picture I had in my mind was over the next 2, maybe 3 years, I was going to start working to see if I could maybe, you know, get a subscriber base that was up into the 10,000 range, you know, and maybe after about 2 to 3 years, work up to like the 100,000, you know. So that was the picture that I had in my mind. I was like, okay, well, this is just going to be a fun little project. Something fun to work on my days off, you know, because up there in Maine, I lived in Farmington, Maine. And I don't know if I got any Mainers watching me, but Farmington, Maine is a teeny weeny, itty bitty little 1-horse town, dude. Teeny fucking weeny. And there is nothing to fucking do unless you enjoy nature walks, you know, lots of nature. But I would get so bored on my days off. And I was like, this is something I can do to keep myself occupied on my off days. You know, I'd be all by myself. The girl I was dating at the time, she would go off to work, and I wouldn't have nothing to do, nobody to hang out with. And that's when I started reading the tarot cards on my channel. And it like blew up overnight, and it scared the shit out of me. It scared me. And I could go back and I guess if you're not me, you know, then you really can't tell. You know, you would have to have been me, and you would have had to have known me and what I was going through at the time to know how, like, that was not in my list of plans. It was not, but I could tell, like, immediately, almost immediately. I could hear the universe in my head saying, okay, here's that business you wanted. And I was like, no, not this. This isn't what I want to do as a business. You know, I don't want to do this for a living. You know, it was just supposed to be something fun. I really genuinely did not want to do it for a living, but I could just hear the universe screaming in my ear. You wanted a business, right? Here, this is what I need you to do. If you don't do this, then you can just go back to the car wash. And I'm like, oh shit. So I can go back and I can look at my old videos, and I tried to play it off and play it cool through the old videos, you know, and like blend into the tarot community, but that was not in my list of plans. Like, that was not what I was planning with my life at all. And it took a while for me to actually get comfortable with it, you know, what I wanted to do. And sometimes I still think this would be nice. I still think it would, but I wanted to just be like one of those super affiliates, you know, or some kind of freelance digital marketer who I didn't want my face behind my business. I didn't want my face out in the public. I didn't really want anybody knowing what I did for a living. I did join one network marketing team where I had to do that though, and it was really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But if I had it like totally up to me, I just wanted my own little online business where I sit at home in the privacy of my own home. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows anything about me. I'm just a little hermit who minds my own business and just, you know, and nobody knows what I do for a living. I didn't want anybody knowing my business like that, you know? So whenever the universe is like, nah, man, nah, I got something for you, I was like, no. And I didn't want to do it, man. I really didn't. So looking back is just so funny to watch how I handled it and watch, you know, how I went through it and how awkward and uncomfortable it was. You know, it's just funny. It was funny as hell. Took me, oh man, let me see. Probably about a year before I really fully accepted. This is what I'm doing for now, you know. Took me about a year. And it's just so funny too, because right after the universe had me where it wanted me, everything else in life, you know, happened to where I had no choice but to depend on that, you know. The girl I was dating at the time, as soon as my YouTube channel took off, she flipped on me. You know, I'm like, what is going on here? My whole life, like, came to a complete and total halt and made a 180-degree turn. Like everything in my life. And I don't know. It's just funny to look back on. Anywho, though, I'm going to be getting out of here in a few minutes. Not sure if you want to manifest. Well, we're all manifesting all the time anyway. That's the thing. So you are manifesting whether you want to or not, but you mean take conscious control of what you're manifesting? Yeah, I think it's fun. Here, eventually, at some point in time, I think before 2030, manifestation and the process of manifestation and how it works will be mainstream, common knowledge, common sense. You know, that's another big part of my job description. Like I was telling you earlier, you know, not only figuring out that you have control of what's going on in here, but learning how the manifestation process works. That's what we got to start teaching humans. That's what we got to start teaching humans. And the domino effect will, carry off throughout the rest of the planet organically anyway, once humans start understanding that. But learning how the manifestation process works, because everybody's manifesting. Everybody is. Everybody is. It goes really, really deep. If we want to talk about it from a soul level, over there on the other side, you agree to come be exposed to certain things in your life. Okay. So for the first, 5 to 10 years of your life, you are being exposed to certain experiences. Okay. And at whatever age you mentally take the wheel and start making conscious choices, all the programming that you have been previewed to up to that point has started to build the program that you're running on. This is where people, like, this is one of the most spiritually dead asleep people. One of the first things that they'll ask is, what about the children? What about children? It's wrong to say you're manifesting all of your life experiences. What about the children who are manifesting this and that? That's part of the agreement of the program. You're up there at source. You choose what you're going to experience. You choose your family. You choose your parents. You choose all the things that you're going to be previewed to, because that is setting the program. That's setting the program. And whenever you reach that age where you're taking conscious control of your thoughts and your actions, whenever that is, that's when you begin manifesting every one of your life experiences after that. Learning how the manifestation process works, learning how to take a look at your life and saying, how did I manifest that? Not did I, how did I manifest that? Okay. Once we get people thinking on this level, okay, this is when mankind is really going to begin to ascend. How did I manifest that? And once I figure out how I manifested it, how do I unmanifest that and manifest something else? See what I'm saying? How did I create that? Anytime something bad happens, how did I create that? Because it's not, did you create it? Yes, you did. How did it happen? And how do I take control of it and figure out how to create something else? This is where your life will really begin to transform. I still do it to this day. I don't care what happens. I could be cruising down the road and get a flat tire. How did I manifest that? Because I did. I manifested the flat tire. I could be sitting there at a red light and somebody could rear end me. Bam! How did I manifest that? Because I did. I manifested that. My frequency took me to the timeline that resonated harmoniously with sitting at a red light and getting rear-ended. I took myself to that timeline. I manifested that experience. How did I do that? Oh, it's that negative thought that I've been thinking all week. It's this thing happened that pissed me off, and I've just been playing it over and over and over in my head, angry all day, every day. I've spent the majority of the last few days, probably 75% of my day, angry about this thing that happened, or angry about something and repeating. That's how I manifested that. Okay. You'll always get the answer. You will always get the answer. Universe will always tell you how you manifested it. And it's okay. It's cool. Just because you manifested something you didn't want doesn't make you a bad person. We're all humans. We all have little experiences we don't like. We just need to learn how to pop away from it and be able to look at it objectively and just figure out, how did I manifest that? I wonder why my higher self created that, you know? Because when something happens, what is pulling forth your timelines moving forward is you have two ways of looking at what happens to you in life. You can look at it as if everything that happens is happening to you, or you can look at it like everything that's happening is happening for you. Okay? And whichever one you choose to give yourself permission to utilize is what you will experience. They call it paranoia and pronoia. Mhm. If I choose to experience that everything, or if I choose to believe that everything I experience is happening to me, to oppress me, and I'm a victim of the things that are happening, that is exactly what I'm going to continue to experience. But if I choose to believe that even the bad things that are happening to me in my life are happening for me, then that's how I begin making my way up the mountain. Anytime something happens, I take a look at it and say, I wonder why my higher self did that. One of these days, I'm going to look back on this and it's going to make sense. You know, and you hold that space. Anytime something bad happens that's out of your control, hold that space in the future for that one day that you look back on that thing and you're thankful that it happened. See, here I go again. Here I go again, man, talking about the same stuff again. But anyway, it is about time for me to get up out of here too. Anyway, about that time. So just wanted to get on here and blab for a little bit. Been so damn long since I've done this. Can't promise it's going to be an everyday thing. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I had a lot of trouble sleeping last night. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening to me blab and run my mouth. I'll see you at some point later on my main channel. All right. Y'all enjoy the rest of your morning.